Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. Sportswire today again streaming this time for a match day. Um, let's call it a preview because the match is again yet to happen. So I just want someone to confirm if what I'm speaking is loud and clear for you guys. I'm hoping it's all loud and clear. But then I've already seen a couple of people joining into the stream. Big up Vijay says Nick Blue from the Blue Stand. Brilliant, spokesperson as well, Nick Blue, who's been historically supporting me for a long time now. So thank you, Nick Blue, for joining in the show. Stay tuned with the show. Please provide your comments as well on the comments section. But what do we have in the agenda today? What are we going to be talking about today? Actually, there's a lot of news across the Chelsea board. We've been consolidating those news, and I thought I'll bring them up to you guys, and we'll talk about that one after the other. But certain important topics, let's probably start up with the match, actually, because we need to know who's going to be with the team, who's not going to be with the team, because that's something that's happening today later in the day. Santosh Kumar has joined us as well. Santosh, thanks for joining in. It's loud and clear, bro. And he says, uh, big up the Blues. Our Balaji as well has joined in. What's good, bro? These are my Tamil Coimbatore friends. Vanakkam, vanakkam. Thank you for joining in the show. A couple of Tamil words there for our guys, and they've been ardent Chelsea fans. We have a community in WhatsApp groups as well, and we could continuously interact. And watching the game with these guys on the WhatsApp has always been an entertainment for me as well, because it just gives you different perspective, and they're all extremely good, extremely good analysts of the game as well. So that's what we're trying to do: build up a community and try to work together. Arjun from Twitter as well has joined in, guys. This is also another note on the same thing. We are not just live on YouTube, we are live on Twitter as well as the Sportswire Facebook page. So you can watch us anywhere right now. Sportswire is my Twitter ID as well. So you can follow me there as well if you have not yet done it. And thank you, Arjun, for joining in as well. So quickly going into what we have on the agenda for today. Let's start off with what we have from Graham Potter, right? There's been a lot of talking going on. Yesterday, we did the match preview before we heard what Graham Potter had to say about the squad availability. That's the reason why we were not sure on if Kepa is going to be playing or if it is going to be Mendy who's going to be playing. So right now we have a pretty much good idea and understanding as to who's going to be playing. So I'm going to share my screen and walk you through what we have in terms of the data. Just give me a second. Let me pull it up. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. All right. I think I'm pulling in the right screen. Yeah, probably. All right. So this is what we have, guys. These are the news that we have for today. I know, of course, there's a lot of news on this, so we'll go one after the other. We'll start with Nisar Kinsella's tweet. He was the one who was actually in the Chelsea media house, and he was actually taking notes. And usually Nisar Kinsella tweets out all these tweets pretty frequently. If you've not followed him, just give him a follow. He's pretty good with the content and source. He says, Potter on the team selection for tomorrow. I don't think it is time to use young players for the sake of it. We have to be competitive and respect the opponent. I want to hear your thoughts on this particular statement, because I know in the Twitter community this has made a wave in itself, because people want to see youth playing in. We know there has been a huge amount of support for Chelsea youth after the 2018 Frank Lampard's season, because you could also argue Frank Lampard had to choose that squad because he was having a transfer ban at that point in time. But even without that, would would Frank Lampard chosen the same team? I'm not really sure about it. But anyways, from that period of time, we've been working with a lot of youth, and we want the managers to choose in a lot of youth than any other team in the world. So Chelsea fans expecting the youths to play in today's game, but apparently Graham Potter is not in agreement with that. He says, I don't think so. It's the time to use young players for the sake of it. Now, my question, if I look into the statement, would be, would you get one sort of a dead rubber in a Champions League game? I know they are a very good opponent. I know we'll have to respect the opponent, but it is still also a game where you could try your tactics and work it out with the young players. If there is one possibility of you to bring in Zakaria and give him some game time, why not try that? If there is a possibility of making Armanda Broja play for an entire 90, why not try that? Yeah, I know there is a bit of unavailability because the players have not been registered with the UEFA. There are a few players who've not been registered. Let's say Karni Chukwuemeka, I think he is registered, but let's say Lewis Hall, Charlie Webster, these guys have not been registered, so they probably won't be playing. So, in terms of availability, let's also look into it, right? I had the list of availabilities, anyways. So this is what we have in terms of availability. Lewis Hall is starting for the under 19s. The under 19 game is right now going to be happening. It's the UIL game that is going to be happening, and Lewis Hall is going to be playing one amongst them, right? Arjun Gill, thank you. He says hit the like button. So, guys, if you've not hit the like button, please consider doing so. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel as well. Omari Hutchinson, another interesting talent. We all saw the goal that he scored against, I think, Manchester United youth, where he ran the entire distance to score the goal, entire pitch basically to score the goal on the counter. Absolutely brilliant talent. I really wish, I mean, we actually got him from Arsenal this season, right? For people who don't know that, we actually got him from Arsenal's academy, and he's been doing good things for Chelsea. But he is ineligible to play. That is probably because of the registration, because when we register players, we need to register them separately for the competition as well. So let's consider this a 26-member squad or 25-member squad. At the start of the season, we are expected to register a certain amount of players that would be playing in a specific competition. Let's say UEFA or the Carling Cup or whatever cup or trophies that is, right? That's the reason Omari Hutchinson has not been registered earlier, so he is ineligible. Charlie Webster did not train with the squad, but then he was called for the training. So I'm a bit confused here. I've been hearing mixed information on this particular player. I know he was called for the training, but apparently he did not train with the squad. So what was the purpose of him being called to the senior team? I'm not sure. Chukwuemeka is not apparently fully fit. I think this is where young players need to be keeping themselves very much fit so that they are available whenever the manager calls them to be available for. Nick Blue says it's a massive rebuild that is going on at Chelsea FC, not just the whole team, but the whole club. We must be patient with Todd Bowley and Graham Potter. I understand what you're saying and where you're coming from, and I get the point as well. But there's always been a question with the manager. Is this manager the right manager for the rebuild to happen? I'm not going to jump on any opinion at this point in time. And I don't want to say Graham Potter is not the right man for the job, but I think he still needs to prove a lot for us to trust him in the process of rebuild. The reason why I say that is he is not a proven manager as that of what our historical managers have been, right? We've had Thomas Tuchel, who's proved his worth in PSG and Chelsea. He's won the Champions League. Frank Lampard, of course, had a good playing history with Chelsea. That's the reason why he got the job. But other managers before him, Antonio Conte comes with a very good history. Mourinho has come with a very good history, right? Sarri, again, the same thing. So would you actually say Brighton manager who's not actually won anything, right, in the past, being the right man for this job? I'm not really sure. I wouldn't really call it with confidence at this point in time. Because right now, what I'm seeing with Graham Potter is the same adaptation as that of what Thomas Tuchel did, with a lot more attacking prowess, right? Not too much attacking though, but it's still again the Thomas Tuchel ball that is happening is what I feel. So I want to see actually what Graham Potter, is trying to incorporate, and if it is successful, then he obviously is the right man for the job. We also are hearing news about Graham Potter and Eddie Howe as possible replacements for Gareth Southgate in the near run. Once this World Cup is over, there is a good possibility, if at all England doesn't win the World Cup. I've been hearing that there could be a possible replacement of Graham Potter, and we would be seeing, either Graham Potter or Eddie Howe as the name thrown around. Now, are these guys going to take the job? That's altogether a different question. Of course, Newcastle pays them a lot of money for Eddie Howe. And I think, if I'm not wrong, Graham Potter is on a 50 million contract with Chelsea. So are they going to be throwing the job just to go get an England job? I don't think so right now. But maybe in the longer run, maybe they would consider that as an option. But that's how these guys are being looked at. SBJ, we have to give Graham Potter time till he gets his players and he wants. Then we will see. Yeah, I get your point. He's obviously playing with the squad that he inherited, but isn't this exactly what Thomas Tuchel as well did, and was still successful? I'm not going to compare Thomas Tuchel with what Graham Potter is going through, and say, you know what, GP is not the right man for the job. All that I'm saying is, at this point in time, I am not yet confident to say that Graham Potter is is the man for the job, who's for the rebuild at least. We must stop sacking managers every 2-3 years. Look at Pep and Klopp. Pep and Klopp, the rarity, Nick. You're not going to get a Pep and Klopp every single time. Look at Arteta. Maybe that's a good way of looking at things, because Arteta was given 3-4 years and now he's doing it right at the job. But Pep and Klopp, just once in a time managers, generational managers to be precise. But yeah, coming back to the availability of squad, Zakaria is available, Armando Broja is available. Now, couple of points on this topic. Armando Broja, I want him to play the 90, right? I'm pretty sure you guys in the chat as well would want to see him play the entire 90. Please let me know in the comment section, what are your thoughts on Armando Broja playing the entire 90 minutes? I personally think he needs to play the 90 because he's got the potential. I know he got an opportunity for the first 45 minutes in one of the games. He was starting and he was a bit nervous, but that's no reason for him to not play an entire 90 minutes. These are the games where you can actually try a striker. He's absolutely brilliant. He's spacey. He is someone who can dribble. He's someone who can strike the ball. We've seen him, taking good shots from outside the box as well. And he has the potential to be sharp. Yes, on that particular day, he wasn't the sharpest of our players. But it could also be because he was nervous on getting a start, right? Because that was his first start. He's always been the 80-minute man. I've always been telling this, right? He comes in at 80 minutes, he plays for 10 minutes. That's exactly what Armando Broja does. I want him to play for the entire 90 once in a while so that he gets enough time to adapt to the system, to adapt to the players on the pitch, on the game. I still think he's got a very good talent. He signed a 6-year deal with us very recently, which means that he is going to be with the squad for a considerable amount of time. I don't want a young striker who signed a 6-year deal with us to be playing the third fiddle, not even the second fiddle. Right now, we're having Kai Havertz and Aubameyang playing the second fiddle for us. We don't have a top quality striker. If our first two strikers are not playing that great anyways, why not try the third striker, right? That's my point, and that's the reason why I think Armando Broja is going to be an exceptional talent for us, and I'd want him to play this match in the entirety. Coming to the next point, which is Zakaria, the next player who, possibly can make his Chelsea debut today. I don't even want him to, start the game. Maybe at least give him a few minutes in the game is what I'm asking for. I don't think so. That's a huge ask for, a player like Zakaria. Fans like us would want to see what the player is all about in the pitch, right? Not just on the training ground, because he is a purchase. Of course, it's not a purchase that was made by Graham Potter. I get the point. But he cannot be so bad that you cannot even play him in one single game, right? But there's a bit of a catch here, right? One is that if Zakaria plays today, he will be incapable of returning back to any club, or he would not be in a position to be sold, right? Because um, he was he was obtained on a loan. So he had played for his parent club, which is Juventus. He has either an option to return back to Juventus in the winter transfer window, but if he plays today for Chelsea and he makes the debut, the rules clearly state that a player cannot play for more than two teams in a season. Yeah, so he would be ineligible to be going to any other team, even on a loan. So I think it's a risk that Graham Potter would be taking if at all he is deciding to field Zakaria today. That's the reason why I'm probably thinking if Zakaria is someone who's not going to be with the squad in the winter transfer window, I think this would be the first sign of that, which means he's probably not going to play today. If he's not playing today, it mostly means that he's not going to be with the squad after the January winter transfer window. Nick says Broja, I think, will start. Also, Zakaria, Gallagher, and Hutchinson, also Chalaba. I understand your Broja's point. I think we are in sync with that. Zakaria, I don't think so, like I mentioned earlier. Gallagher, probably yes. Him starting at that camp position and doing well will bring him a lot of confidence in the Premier League games. Hutchinson is not eligible to play in this game, so he probably is not going to start. Trevor Chalobah, of course, he's right now become a regular in Chelsea squad after Wesley Fofana's injury. So I wouldn't be surprised if Trevor Chalobah starts. I think we also added him as part of our lineup when we released our lineup today in Twitter, and we discussed about this yesterday in our live show. So no surprises in Chalobah playing today. I think he will definitely start. Gallagher as well. I think there's a good potential that he might play the entire 90. Omari Hutchinson again, not possible. Not eligible actually. Zakaria, because of this, management issue that he cannot be sold onto a different club, will stop him from appearing today is what I'm thinking. Broja, if he gets the entire 90, I would be really happy about it. Having said that, we'll also take a look at other informations that we have, because there's a lot, guys. There's a lot. Yeah. What do you guys think about this point? Of course, this is from a Spanish outlet, tier 2 source, not a tier 1 source. I'm just calling it out already. FC Barcelona have begun official talks to sign Jorginho in the year 2023. What do you guys think about this? The winter transfer window is right around the corner. Do you think Jorginho is going to leave Chelsea in this winter transfer window or the upcoming summer transfer window? Be it the winter transfer window or the summer transfer window, do you think selling Jorginho is the right option for Chelsea? Considering N'Golo Kante is probably going to depart from Chelsea as well, is it the right option for us to lose both our midfielders in the same season? Is that going to be a right option for us to do? I'd like to hear your thoughts on the comment section. But my thought is this, right? I'd be fine with losing just one of them. I mean, if it was not for the last two seasons of N'Golo Kante, I would have said, maybe Jorginho goes out the door and we work with N'Golo Kante. But seeing the recent dip in form and the recent dip in the game time for N'Golo Kante, I wouldn't be surprised if N'Golo Kante is the first person out the door. And I wouldn't be really against that particular decision as well from Chelsea, because I'm still thinking N'Golo Kante has that potential to play, but maybe not in the Premier League anymore. Maybe the Premier League is becoming a lot more rougher and physical for him to handle at this age. So maybe the French league or a different league would probably be his ball game right now. That's the reason why I think maybe, just maybe, N'Golo Kante leaves Chelsea on a free transfer. Getting rid of N'Golo Kante on a free transfer is not something that I would be anyway supportive of, but there's no other go. This is the end of 2023, his last year in contract. But let's not forget, getting rid of N'Golo Kante on one aspect will have a huge repercussion on the wage budget, a positive repercussion. Let's be honest about it. He's on a very good wage, actually. Yeah. So having N'Golo Kante on 290K a week, he's actually on a 290K a week, if I'm getting my numbers right, and he's 31 years old. So getting rid of him will actually support our wage book uh, pretty well, because we have players who are on even more higher wages, and still part of the squad. Let's take, Romelu Lukaku. Technically, he is still part of a wage book. Yeah, though Inter Milan has agreed to pay partial fee uh, of Romelu Lukaku, we still paying the rest of the half. Yeah, and we also have Raheem Sterling, who's on 325K a week, and Kalidou Koulibaly, who's on 295K a week. So those are extremely high wages for players, and getting rid of N'Golo Kante could actually help us adjust the books better. Let's not forget, Reece James has signed a new contract, a 6-year contract extension with Chelsea as well in the month of September. And now he is on a very good wage as well. He's on an annual salary of 13 million euros and on a weekly salary of 250K euros a week, right? So those numbers are huge. And I think Reece James does deserve it. So I don't have any problem with it. But getting rid of N'Golo Kante in terms of the contract is a very good deal to be done. But that will also have repercussion on if Jorginho is going to be leaving the squad. Let's get one thing clear. Jorginho is not our highest earner. Yeah, Jorginho is on a decent wage with us. I think he's on 110K a week, right? And he's 30 years old. So 110K a week, top talent in terms of the way that he distributes and dictates the gameplay. He's senior in the squad, and he's got the potential to manage and maintain the leads. Yes, of course, he has facets of the game that he needs to improve. And we've seen him not being able to dribble, struggling against physically strong midfielders. Yeah, those are the negative facets of the game. But his calmness during stressful situations, taking penalties, we don't even care right now about Jorginho's penalty, because his conversion rate is extremely high. It's extremely high that we know when Jorginho is on the spot, it's probably going to be in the back of the net. Doesn't even matter who the goalkeeper is. But let me just quickly read out the comments. I think there is opinions coming on Jorginho and Kante here, so it's probably right for us to go through those chats as well. Preetham Kannan says, not only should we not give Kante a new contract, we got to slash his wages, to be honest. Because, come on, he doesn't play half the matches. Fair enough. If we are not selling Kante by the end of this summer, and we're deciding to give him a contract extension, absolutely agreed with your point. He should definitely get a wage cut, and that wage cut should be significant as well. From the looks of your comment, I think you would be in agreement with that. His wage cut needs to be at least 50%. But the problem is, these players would not be willing to take that sort of a contract. That's exactly the reason why N'Golo Kante is also looking at moving elsewhere, because N'Golo Kante is probably going to get his final contract in his entire career, right? Final playing contract at least. And these players would want their final contract to be good amount of money, right? So would they be wanting to earn, just say, 150K from what they've been earning at 290K? I don't think so. That's the reason possibly why Kante is looked at as someone who would definitely go out the door towards the end of the season. Either as a free agent, he would be struggling to find a new club, or he would be finding a new club and he would be departing from Chelsea. Either way, we get rid of 290K a week from our books. But I still respect N'Golo Kante as a player, whatever he's done for Chelsea. Not forgetting the Champions League games that he's played for Chelsea. He's always been a man who is equivalent to two midfielders in the team. But all that was in the past. Right now, it's time for N'Golo Kante to move on to a different club or take a wage cut and still nurse for his injuries in Chelsea. Retain Jorginho, get two good midfielders is the way to go. We'll get to that point. I think it's a very good point. I think we should definitely be discussing about that. But before that, let's also see what Nick Blue has to say about it. Kante depends on whether he accepts the contract. Yeah, but I don't think so. He's going to be accepting the contract, and that's what we just saw. Jorginho is not going nowhere right now. Maybe next summer. Yeah, maybe next summer. That's where the question mark is. I think already Barcelona have started to pursue Jorginho's deal, because I think officially they can start processing, talks with the player directly 6 months before his contract gets over, which is probably by January, or maybe even in the month of October or December. They would be eligible to start conversations with the player, and that's the reason why we are seeing this particular comment. FC Barcelona have begun official talks to sign Jorginho in 2023. Now, we've seen historically Barcelona are a team in the recent past who've been signing only free agents, right? Because they'd want players, even if they're on higher budgets, they would want those players to be signed because they find money somehow. But at the same time, they don't want to spend on their transfer budget. So I think it's a fair ask for Jorginho to be gone as a free agent. But let's get back to Preetham's point, because it makes a lot of sense and it's relevant to what we're talking right now. Retain Jorginho, get two midfielders is the way to go. Retaining Jorginho gives you that option where you're not entirely, revamping the midfield. Though our midfield needs a revamp, it should not be something which is immediate, right? It should be done in a phased manner, right? That's how we do any strategic decision in any company, right? I am a strategic consultant by profession. When we actually do an organization transformation, we don't end up just firing all the existing employees just to make a transformation complete. We don't do that. The reason why we don't do that is because we need existing leadership positions to be retained until we change the approach in the bottom. If we are doing a cultural shift, we need players or we need professionals of who can be fit in the new system or with the new culture, and then we will slowly rotate our leadership positions. That's the bottom up approach, right? And when it comes to clubs as well, this is exactly what they would want to do, right? When we want to revamp the midfield, we just cannot get rid of all the midfielders at once and then bring in new faces. RLC, Kovacic, I get your point. Maybe they are more regulars, but Jorginho has been the most regular of them all. So I think Jorginho is integral. And I'm going to repeat this again. Jorginho is integral for the structure of our new midfield, because he is either going to be the heart of the midfield the next season, or he is going to be a fail-safe for us if the new midfielders that we've purchased are going for a toss, right? So Jorginho can do, or Jorginho can be either of them. That's the reason why I think maybe Chelsea should look at trying to retain Jorginho, because he's anyways on 110K a week, guys. 110K a week. Probably his next contract, he's going to demand somewhere around the range of 200K, which is something which we can afford for a player like Jorginho. So I'm not sure if this particular information, if it's true, is good for the club. But I hear Preetham's thought. Two good midfielders is the way to go. Hopefully, there are Chelsea scouts already on the lookout for those two midfielders, because I'm not sure if Zakaria was the right move. RLC is not someone who is living up to the potential, and we've given him enormous amount of time. Kovacic, of course, a strong midfielder, but we still need two midfielders, quality midfielders in that midfield position. Tobago, long-term friend, a Twitter enthusiast. He's also someone who's running a channel. Please check him out as well, along with Nick Blue. I think Nick Blue's channel is the Blue Podcast, the Blue Stand Podcast, and Tobacco. Buddy, put in your channel name as well. Please check them out as well. Wonderful content creators. Big up VJ, long time, bro. And I'm glad South Africa beaten India. Yeah, and we saw. And did you see how we beat Bangladesh today? That was good as well, right? But yeah, South Africa did beat us. Maybe Just maybe if you guys come to the finals, then we'll probably have another matchup. Anyways, Nick Blue and Tobago having their personal conversations there. Yeah, and this is Tobago on the same topic. Personally, I don't want Chelsea to sell all our midfielders in the same window or lose them. I hope we learned that lesson when we sold Matic and bought Bakayoko. Absolutely a brilliant point. I think it's a fair comparison. Nemanja Matic, when he was sold, he was one of our best defensive midfielders, anyways, regardless of how his performance was. And we've still not been able to honestly replace Nemanja Matic, right? Bakayoko, we thought he's going to be, a diamond in our crown, but we later realized that was not the way. He was extremely slow for Premier League, and you now know where he is right now. All right, so that's one thing that we thought we'll discuss anyways, and there are other topics as well, guys. Today, Twitter is flooded with information. I was able to collate most of those, and I'll probably present and we'll talk about these things. This is another, interesting information, which I don't want ever to happen. But since we were talking about the Chelsea attack, we'll probably close this conversation as well. This is on Armando Broja, Spanish outlet again, coming up with this particular topic. But considering the outlet, it's not a big outlet. It's a tier 3 outlet. So Atletico Madrid would be interested in taking Armando Broja on loan should the Chelsea striker desire a move away over a lack of game time. We know this is true. Chelsea striker Armando Broja has not been getting the game time that he possibly deserves. But this comes as a news to me. Atletico Madrid being interested in taking Armando Broja. Look at this, guys. I don't want this to ever happen because they're trying to get rid of Joao Felix as well. Let's not forget. So if that is happening, and if they want to get in Armando Broja, he is on a 6-year deal. So it's not going to be cheaper for them to actually buy him. But the money that they will be making by selling Joao Felix, and if they're able to use that money to get Armando Broja, that's still a good possibility, guys. That's still a good possibility. Diego Simeone knows how to play Armando Broja, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is succeeding well in the Spanish league, because Spanish league is more of a league where the strikers are extremely valued. And we saw how even Aubameyang had the potential to succeed in Barcelona's team. So I'm not saying that's a bad move for Armando Broja. It's absolutely a good move. But I really, for one, want a quality striker at Chelsea to be playing at the highest level, who was an academy product at some point. Armando Broja has the potential to be our next Diego Costa. And I'm not even exaggerating. He's got the potential to be our next Diego Costa. I don't want him to be sold, guys. What do you guys think about? Please let me know on the comment section on this particular topic. I'm extremely devastated to see these kind of information pop out when we had a loss in the Brighton game and we're waiting for our next fixture. Journalists in that way are very clever in bringing confusion to a team when the team is in their worst form. I think that's probably one of those information. But Atletico Madrid from nowhere expressing their interest in Armando Broja, it's just pissing me off. To be honest, it's just pissing me off. Nick Blue says Broja is most definitely not going to Barcelona. I mean, that's not Barcelona. I mean, it's not Barcelona who's asking for it. It's Atletico Madrid, and they're good. They're financially good. Broja is not for sale, says Tobago. Exactly, guys. Exactly. Broja is not for sale. Atletico Madrid, no. Wave your flag somewhere else. Atletico Madrid, Broja is not coming anywhere. Selling Broja would be the biggest mistake of a club after De Bruyne and Salah. We all saw how that went. De Bruyne, player of the year, multiple times. Salah, one of the biggest generational talents that we've seen in world football after Messi and Ronaldo in Premier League. And both of them once were Chelsea players. Would you believe we let go of De Bruyne after him? So I'm pretty sure you guys as well remember this, times where De Bruyne and there was another midfielder, I think it was Van Ginkel or someone. So 2 players, and then we decided to go with the other one. De Bruyne ended up being this this Belgian midfielder who just changed the course of Man City in seasons, and he's absolutely on a different class. And that's what we get with De Bruyne and Salah, and we miss them. We miss them because of poor decisions on the management level and on the leadership level. Identifying talents is one part of a club, but retaining talents, considering their potential, is also something that we need to focus on. Those are the strategic decisions that these leadership teams and the scouting teams are expected to do, right? Because that has definitely a repercussion in the future. When you decide to sell Callum Hudson-Odoi, or when you decide to hold on to Callum Hudson-Odoi for a longer time, even after you knowing that he has had injuries, that is not going to be making him one of the top talent, you need to figure out a way to sell him immediately, right? But at the same time, there are talents once in a generation where you have to go in and buy them. We thought Kai Havertz was once in a generation talent and we brought him. Fair play. But if he's not working, we shouldn't be letting him play for another 2 seasons where his value completely diminishes and end up having him in the team regardless, because we now don't have an option to sell him anyways, right? So strategic decisions that can become a mistake from the scouting area will have definitely a negative repercussion in the way the team is lining up. So I want the new team, the new leadership group that has been formulated by Todd Bowley and co, to take a look at these things and figure out what's the best option for the club, right? From the scouting and from retaining talents. Nick says Broja is being eased in slowly. He is a true Chelsea youngster, like Reece James, Mount, Gallagher, Chalobah, and they are our future. I mean, these guys definitely are our future because they are Chelsea Academy guys. But when it comes to money, there are people who would want to make more money as well. So you cannot blame them for doing that because their career is anyway short-lived, right? I can stay in a job for 40 years if my health provides me that, ability, right? Because that's the kind of job that I'm doing. But sportsmen, they have a career which is like spanning for 15 years, and they need to make the most out of it. So them going after money is not something that I would blame on them. So if you want to be a top club, you need to spend top money on top talents, right? Anyways, that's one news that I wanted to bring to you guys. A bit shocking, but then still a tier 3 journalist. So would I be more concerned about this particular news? Not at this point in time, but if this story develops, then probably I'd be concerned about it. Again, this is Chelsea boss Graham Potter. He says reported. I mean, there is a report that says he is interested in signing Juventus midfielder Adrian Rabiot. The manager urges the management to sign him in. Sorry, the manager urges the management to sign in January. Rabiot, a good player, regardless. But is he a Chelsea material? Has he had any prior Premier League experience? Correct me if I'm wrong, but he has zero Premier League experience. A player of that caliber, of course, would be helpful in our midfield. But Graham Potter, it's not going to be an easy deal, first of all. Rabiot is probably on a very high wage already. I'm just going to check what is Rabiot on, right? Firstly, he's 25 years, center midfielder, 1.88 meter height, and 71 kg weight. Yeah, he's a French international, of course, we've known that. In terms of his performance, football statistics, he's got the potential to play in a defensive midfield position. So, yeah, that's a good sign, because if you want a defensive midfielder, you could probably have him do that. But he was linked in the previous years with even Manchester United guys. So let's not forget that. So it's not going to be an easy buy getting Rabiot, but I would be concerned about his injury records as well. He's not been that regular. Had experience playing with Juventus, Paris Saint-Germain, Toulouse. Some of these names are very difficult to pronounce, particularly for Indians. But anyways, I'm trying my best. Pardon if those names are, going haywire anywhere. But yeah, it's going to be difficult to get this deal done. But, wouldn't be a bad buy. Let me know your thoughts on Rabiot's situation. Again, not a top tier journalist, anyways, reporting it, but still, these are informations that can get converted into bigger picture at some point in time. Uh, I wanted to read this entire article for you guys. This is from Ben Jacobs. Apparently, there's a lot of context into this game, and this is more on the management side of Chelsea. Todd Bowley is tempted by the ECA role. This is again the European Super League waving their cash money in front of Chelsea and seeing if Todd Bowley would probably, want that sort of a deal. But apparently, Todd Bowley has mentioned that he would not be interested on it. Anyways, this is the article. I'll just quickly read through some of those points that we might find interesting. So, new chief executive Richard has already written to UEFA president Alexander Seferin seeking immediate dialogue and is cautiously optimistic Europe's top club will back a new format that purportedly sees them play meaningful games more often. Phase one of my responsibility is to initiate and conduct dialogue. Richard told the CBS Sports, "We want to reach out to the stakeholders of the European football family and discuss with them openly, honestly, and without the threat of sanctions the underlying problems the European football is facing. I believe there is a broader consensus that football is facing existential problems. I think it is good if the big European clubs take the lead and live up to their responsibility. I also believe European clubs and the whole football ecosystem must be prepared for the change that might be round the corner. Clubs should be aware and look to protect their interest. Is the ESL legally possible? A22's most pressing problem is they currently have no legal ability to start a European Super League because UEFA hold a monopoly on organizing transcontinental European club competitions. That means a competitive ESL is not only rogue but an illegal venture. Clubs who join it could be expelled from their domestic leagues, and players potentially see their UEFA registrations revoked. The PGA Tour did something similar when Greg Norman's new Saudi funded LIV Golf Tour launched, creating instant fractures within the sport. That's on the golf side of things, guys. To avoid this scenario, A22 are co-claimant on an anti-competition case at the Court of Justice of the European Union, which they believe will grant them legal authority to found a European Super League with UEFA member clubs. A ruling is expected in spring 2023. Guys, this is very important. A ruling is expected if European Super League is even possible in the year 2023 spring season. In Europe, governance resides only with UEFA, a private association sitting in Switzerland, who is the regulator, gatekeeper, and sole commercial operator of competitions. No one can explain to me why, says Richard, who was chief executive of TV channel RTL Duitsland before joining A22. We are challenging this with the CJEU. We think clubs should be the masters of their own destiny. The reasons for this is there are a lot of clubs who currently don't see a meaningful pathway or access to European competitions because it's not actually giving them a base to change their economics. Certainly not off the back of just a 1 year qualification. Many clubs enter an economic lottery by accessing the Champions League one season only to not be there the next. Our argument is UEFA's monopoly over club competitions is not compliant with European competition law. We will always respect anything a European tribunal and authorities decide. But I personally believe you can't be the judge, jury, regulator, gatekeeper, and commercial operator all at once. We expect to have a legal resolution in March or April next year, but there is another checkpoint on December 15th, right ahead of the World Cup final, when the Advocate General will be making a non-binding recommendation on the case. So can the ESL recover from its humiliating launch? I think they're talking about what happened in the history, so let's not get into that. What type of format is being discussed? yeah, this is something that we need to take a look at, anyways. Give me a second, guys. I think. Sorry about that. Yeah, so there's a really key difference. A22 are trying the shift of power dynamic at a very core of European football. The original European Super League relied on its 12 founding members. The idea was to offer them plus three other invited clubs franchise like protection, leaving only 5 spots open per season based on merit for so-called annual qualifiers. This not only painted those joining as arrogant and power hungry, it betrayed one of football's most fundamental principles: promotion and relegation. So what they're saying, or what they were actually saying, was that there is no promotion and relegation. Clubs will be getting consistent money. There's only 3 clubs, that would be having the possibility to enter the tournament based on the money that they're generating. In the hindsight, A22 accepted this model was a mistake and are now planning an open ESL with every place earned in the hope it's more palatable to stakeholders and fans. Now they're saying that model was a mistake. We shouldn't have done that. There should be relegations and there should be promotions. So let's see how they're actually planning to sort that out. You can tell there has been a process of listening, learning, reassessing, and now reaching out again with a different approach, says Richard. We're now talking about an open format that will be connected and complementary to domestic leagues and based on sporting merit. Concepts that have previously been heavily criticized, like permanent membership, have been taken off the table. So the permanent membership is gone, right? Now they're wanting, to complement and connect the domestic leagues. But how are they going to connect it? Let's see that. Right now, we don't have a clear format proposition. Okay. All right. So they don't have a clear format proposition yet, guys. The dialogue we're about to engage is in an honest one. We start conceptually in a way from scratch and want to reach out to find the best solution for every participant. Okay, so all that Richard wants to do right now is to talk with relevant stakeholders in making sure that they want to hear everyone's opinion and figure out a new method of bringing up this so-called competition, European Super League. They don't want the permanent membership anymore. So also they don't want promotions and relegations. Now my question is, guys, if they don't want these things, isn't that going to be same as that of what we have right now in UEFA? Like, what difference is it anyways going to make? All right. Let's read further. Whatever format is chosen, A22 argue it will be simpler than UEFA's new Champions League model, which comes into force in 2024-25. Yeah, the new model that was proposed by Champions League, UEFA, I understand there's a bit of, here and there issues, but you would probably end up having the same model that we are right now continuing anyways. That's what I'm thinking anyways. Let's probably read through. UEFA Champions League changes are not moving in the right direction. They are complicated for fans to follow, says Richard, who believes A22's ESL could also be ready for the 2024-25 season. So he says, you guys wouldn't want to even go to that changing phase of UEFA Champions League in the 24-25 season. Rather, we are proposing something in European Super League, which is probably going to be a lot more simpler and will be ready at the same time frame. So they're fine with this particular, European Super League being active from 2024-25 in the format that they would want to, but they're not sure about the format already. They're right now in discussions only with the stakeholders. Now, I want to understand from, people like Richard, who are these stakeholders that you keep talking about? If you say Todd Boehly is one of the stakeholders, and if you say, Levy from Tottenham is one of the stakeholders, and probably top clubs in Europe to be other stakeholders, then where are the clubs like Burnley or clubs like, Derby County? These clubs, how will they be represented in the Super League? Who's going to be talking to them when you make those decisions? That is exactly the mistake that you did the last time. The last time when you guys spoke and made a league, European Soccer League, right? You decided to ignore those teams because you had only talked to the top teams, and you've come up with a European Super League format which involved only the top teams. Now again you're saying that you're going to be talking to stakeholders. Now I want to understand who those stakeholders are. Are those stakeholders going to be championship teams as well? Would they be also considered, in this discussion, in this conversation? Would you be also reaching out to them? Would you be also reaching out to Serie B, Serie C guys who are probably more reliant on the promotions and relegations and the fundings that they get through that competition? So who is going to be your stakeholder? If this is the stakeholder that you want to talk about, you're probably going to be talking about the entire teams that have been, or the entire footballing fraternity in Europe who's been already registered with UEFA. If you do that, then you would probably end up having the same model, right? Because these teams are reliant on the kind of money that they make through the promotion or relegation. And these teams would want to have the same model focused and continued because that is how they've been achieving money, achieving monetary funding until now. So if you're saying, no, my stakeholders are going to be very restrictive and they're just going to be top level teams, yeah, anyways, probably going to end up with European Super League. But if you're saying my stakeholders are going to be the entire group of footballing fraternity in Europe, then you're probably going to end up having the same sort of format. So I don't understand the point where you say, the new format is a bit more complicated. We'd like to simplify the same format. If you're liking to simplify the same format, you'll end up having the right now format that is being used. Anyways, let's probably run through it. We are looking to engage young audience with meaningful matches. We believe this is the best way to compete with a growing number of alternative entertainment options. The earliest reasonable start date is 2024-25, but if it takes longer, so be it. We want to make a solid, sustainable, well-designed format that has consensus from all major stakeholders. But getting a consensus is easier said than done. The ESL is fiercely opposed by the ECA, whose chairman Nasser Al-Khelaifi is also the president of Paris Saint-Germain. So they have an opposition internally. That means no chance of Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe, or Neymar joining whilst they are in Paris. I don't think so. That would be planned. That would be a problem. If at all you're saying PSG is not going to be participating, these guys are going to come out of the club and join a new club, and then they still participate in European Soccer League if that is going to be happening, right? I will not spend much time talking about the not-so-super league, said Al-Khelaifi. I do not like to focus on fabulous and failures. President Serafin stood up to the midnight coup, and people with short memories, right? It's a French term there, should remember that this is exactly what it was. While rebel clubs waste energy, twist narratives, and continue to shout at the sky, we at the ECA focus every energy on building a better future for European football. Anyways, I think there is a huge difference of thought process between the A22 chief, Richard, and Paris Saint-Germain chief, Al-Khelaifi. And these guys have a different view on how football should be run from the year 2024-25. I've read through the rest of the discussion as well, and this is something that we need to take into account because it's more relevant to Chelsea. This is a move A22 would welcome despite Chelsea being openly against their plans. So Chelsea are openly against the A22's plan. Although they have held no talks to date, Richards view Bowley as someone whose mind he can change and is encouraged to see him looking at sports like baseball and American football for inspirations and best practices. This is exactly my problem, guys. When you try running football like American football or baseball, the value of entertainment is more prioritized over the value of the sport. I don't want football, European football to be precise, to be more of entertainment. I want it to be more of football because we all know European football is about emotions. Yeah. It's about grassroots football. When you bring entertainment as the center of the sport, that's when you lose the authenticity of the sport. Anyways, continuing to read, I think innovative voices help contribute towards a productive dialogue, he said. Todd's opinion and Converse ones are both highly productive. I think he is smart to learn from other sports, and that's what we are doing as well. Why not look at the NFL? This is possibly without betraying the tradition of football. And my message to Nasser is he can join in as well. But I believe the ECA is too tied to UEFA in a lot of their articles and statutes. Statutes. Okay. So I think they can't be the only forum or clubs to engage in a dialogue about their future and upcoming changes. We believe it will happen. All right. From what I've read, guys, it seems A22 Richards thinks that he can convince Boli easily. And I wouldn't be surprised if Boli is convinced by that. Not that I'm not trusting Boli. My concern here is he's someone who's used to watching the NFL and operating with the rules and regulations of the NFL. So if you can replicate the same kind of model here, he would know how to exactly succeed, which means he would be ready to support a framework like that. Now, would that framework be something that the European footballing fraternity can work with? Possibly not. That's the reason why European football is different from that of American football. I talked about this, difference between entertainment and the emotions in sport. European football has been more about emotions, not just the entertainment aspect of it. That's the reason why I strongly believe, for one, either A22's framework needs to be very strong and needs to include the grassroots frameworks of promotions and relegations, and still have money in place for every level of football, that is from Division 5, Division 4, Division 3, still getting the same amount of money, if not more, still making that same level of money, and still giving them an opportunity to actually play against a team like Chelsea and win once in a time, once in a lifetime. Those are achievements for footballing teams like, let's say, a team like AFC Wimbledon. Yeah. If they win against Chelsea, that's a record win for them. So they should be given that opportunity. I don't want football to be divided in such a way that the top league teams will only play against the top league teams, and the lower division teams will be playing amongst each other. Now, that's not how European football should be working. That's my humble opinion on this matter. But that's what I think about this topic. European Soccer League is something, or European Super League, sorry, is round the corner, is what A22 Richards is saying. We might potentially see European Super League coming into action in the year 2024-25. I think UEFA needs to be a lot more careful and need to ensure that they have their participants in agreement with the kind of model that they have proposed and got it approved in the year 2024-25. Anyways, that was the topic. And quickly moving to one more topic, and probably the last topic of the day, which is, which of this Chelsea team would you want in the round of 16? An interesting topic of discussion, because we all know who we would want to talk about, who we would be more comfortable in the round of 16. We are expecting those kind of discussions, so we'll get into that as well. Before that, quickly I'll read through Nick Blue's comment on the Super League. He says, forget any Super League happening in this country. The people will not allow it. This nonsense has to stop. That's right there, a proper English fan talking about the kind of football that he needs to see in the country. And it's not like me. I'm not even that old. Nick Blue is 60 years, probably, right? Around that, if I'm not wrong. He's seen Chelsea right from the trenches. He's seen Chelsea work their way out through promotions, from Division 2, Division 1, Championship, and now in the top level in the Premier League. He's seen Chelsea go through all that phase, and he's been with Chelsea. And that's the reason he would never be in agreement with a model which kind of takes away that equation of even promotion, relegation completely from the game. Because every team, if they deserve that opportunity, should be given that opportunity. Let's say there is AFC Wimbledon, or a team like West Brom Albion, who's in Division 2. If they're doing well, they should be given an opportunity to get promoted and come and play in the Premier League. That's a given in European football, and that's how these teams built up. Today, Manchester City is a team of this stature because it had the opportunity to play in the top level, right? They played one step at a time. They improved, and now they are at the top level. They are at the top of the helm. The same thing for Chelsea. The same thing was there once for Uniteds and Liverpools and Arsenals of this world. And I don't think so that should be taken away from them. There's no point. These people are just trying to make more money. We have competitions. Exactly. What about smaller clubs? This is not even worth talking about, Vijay. Exactly. I mean, if you don't find a way for these smaller clubs, then this is not even a conversation worth having, even with Richard. It will never happen, not in my lifetime or yours, Vijay. I don't really want to, um, you know, see this thing happen for football. Anyways, hopefully it doesn't happen in my lifetime as well, Nick Blue. But yeah, sorry for the correction. Nick Blue is 65 years old, guys. So yeah, he's seen a lot with English football. All right. The last topic, which I said we'll talk about, was on the round of 16. Interesting teams in that set of. Okay, the set that we have. Okay, first thing is that, of course, there is a round of 16. I mean, there is a knockout that is happening today as well. So things might change. That's why we have the slash there. If you see for RB Leipzig, like Red Bulls Leipzig, and Shakhtar Donetsk, right? So we do have a possibility of even Shakhtar qualifying or Leipzig qualifying. So that's yet to be decided. But Chelsea will probably face one of these clubs in the round of 16 that is going to be happening after the World Cup. Club Brugge is one team that I think we played against Club Brugge in the last Champions League, and I think we were successful against them. But yeah, that's one team that we might end up facing in the round of 16. Borussia Dortmund, former team of Erling Haaland, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Henry Mkhitaryan. A lot of top talents have come from Borussia Dortmund. Right now, home of Jude Bellingham. Would you want to see us playing against Borussia Dortmund in the round of 16? The next one we have is Inter Milan. Okay, Romelu Lukaku is going to be their striker. I'm not sure if he is allowed to play against us if at all we meet in the round of 16. I'm not sure how the regulations work because he's on technically on a loan from Chelsea to Inter Milan. So that's something that we'll have to wait and watch. But I think if we give permission for Romelu Lukaku to play, I think he still can represent us. I don't think so Chelsea will be wanting to do that anyways. But anyways, that's Inter Milan versus Chelsea, a possibility. And Frankfurt has been historically good in the German league in the last few years. Frankfurt has come through ranks and they've been doing a good job. Benfica from the Portuguese league. Again, Braga, Benfica, these are the teams, top teams from Portugal League, Sporting Lisbon, that you could see in the round of 16. Benfica is another team that could potentially be our opponent in the round of 16. RB Leipzig, another German team, or Shakhtar Donetsk, again a German team, who could possibly be playing against us in the round of 16. Now, I'd like for you guys to tell me in the chat window, which team would you be comfortable playing against? I, for one, would want to go with a German opponent because I still feel we are pretty much doing a good job against the German opponent. Let's say even right now, RB Salzburg, we did a good job against Red Bull Salzburg. So I think we would be pretty much comfortable playing against them. But I wouldn't be too much worried if it was Club Brugge as well. I think Club Brugge is a Switzerland team. Correct me if I'm wrong on the comment section, guys. But yeah, I'd be happy to take Club Brugge as well. Anyways, guys, round of 16 is a competition that is being taken into the next level. So these teams are anyways not going to be as easy as it was in the group stage. So out of these options, I'd probably take Club Brugge as my preference. But I'd love to hear your opinion as well on this topic, guys. Nick says, on our day, we can beat anyone in the world, and it's in our DNA to go far even to win it. Yeah, Chelsea has been historically good playing as an underdogs, and that's how we won the Champions League. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up beating a Borussia Dortmund or Inter Milan in our upcoming fixtures, and then go on to win against Bayern Munich and the Liverpools of the world and win the Champions League once again, because Chelsea has been doing a great job as an underdog, in the recent times after Roman took over the club. But yeah, those are the days. Those are the happy days for Chelsea. Roman Abramovich, absolutely a legend when it comes to Chelsea. Sad to see him, leave the club. And now it's time for a new owner. So there's nothing much that we could ponder over when it comes to the past history of the club. Todd Boehly is the way forward, and we support Todd Boehly through the ups and downs. And we have a new manager to support as well, Graham Potter. Thomas Tuchel, we saw a recent comment on Thomas Tuchel struggling to move on from Chelsea because of the kind of impact that he had on Chelsea and kind of impact Chelsea had on him as well. Let's not forget, he has helped us and he has held us in the game when it was a manager when it was an ownerless team as well. Not a lot of managers would want to do that, especially when you have attractions from teams like Manchester United and PSG calling you and wanting to hand over the opportunity of managing their club. So he held Chelsea in the worst times that we guys have to go through in our lifetimes as a club. So respect to that for Thomas Tuchel. Hopefully he manages to move past this loss of Chelsea being not with him and try to get another team. I think teams like Barcelona would be again interested in an opportunity for Thomas Tuchel, because after them not qualifying for the Champions League, I think it's time for them to look at a new manager. But they are still sticking to Xavi from the looks of it. But things might change. Anything might change because they're facing loss financially because of them not entering the round of 16. So let's not be fooled by the Barcelona's vice president's comment on supporting Xavi through thick and thin. Right now, they're in a financial mess. And the best way forward is for them to have a new ideology, and Thomas Tuchel can always provide that ideology. And he's a quick coach who can adapt to new tactics very easily. And that's the reason why I think Thomas Tuchel would be a good option for Chelsea. Nick Blue says, great show, VJ. You have to do more shows. Absolutely. I'm trying to, balance my work schedule as well as my YouTube channel. Hopefully I do a lot more shows, and I'd love to have you as well as one of the panelists for the future shows. Nick Blue, thank you so much, every one of you guys, for patiently listening to me rant about certain things, but then also talk about all these interesting things that is happening around in Chelsea. It's always a pleasure to talk about Chelsea. It's always been a pleasure to talk to you guys as well. You've been always supportive through my thicks and thins on this channel. The channel is growing really well, growing at a quick pace. We're right now on 337 subscribers, and we are on target to reach the 500 milestone towards the end of this year, guys. By New Year, let's hit that 500 mark, and I'm pretty sure at this pace we can do that. Let's set that as our goal for the channel, and hopefully we do that. 500 subscriber mark is not that far away. If you've not subscribe to the channel yet, please consider subscribing to the channel. There's a lot more content that will be pumped into the channel, and we have a match that is happening today, Chelsea versus Dynamo Zagreb. A dead rubber though, but still interesting to see. Would be interesting to see what tactics does Graham Potter adapt to, and will we be able to pick up a win here and be on high morale when we go to the London derby against Arsenal that's going to happen over the weekend. But yeah, lots of Chelsea match to come in the next I think next 10 days. We have close to 4 matches that we're going to be playing. One is Dynamo Zagreb today, of course, and then the Arsenal, and then the Man City match, and probably a match against Newcastle as well. After which we'll be going to the World Cup. 8 days is the difference, I believe. The last match that Chelsea is playing is going to be on November 12th before the World Cup, and then we'll have the match the World Cup match starting on 20th of November. So lots of content. I think World Cup also we'll do a good coverage. Probably I think there's going to be a lot of English fans who want England to win. Let's see how that transfers as well. Pretty strong team. I think Chalobah has been named as one of the 55-member squad for Gareth Southgate's English team. So congrats for Chalobah if that is true, and if he's going to be traveling to Qatar. So lots of things to talk about. Chelsea and football relevant. India has won against Bangladesh, and from a cricketing perspective, that's the update that we have. A nail-biting finish. Kohli, the man of the match, and Arshdeep Singh, what a brilliant last over. Having said that, it's time for me to take a leave as well. It's time for you guys to take your lunch or dinner, whatever it is, depending on the time zone that you guys are in right now. But until next time, this is Vijay signing off. You guys have a brilliant day ahead, and few of you guys are actually going to end your day. But yeah, whatever it is, whichever time zone you guys are, please enjoy your day, and peace out.